Now understand this, that this gland synthesizes the hormones, the T3s and T4s and RT3 and the calcitonin. But this is the beauty about it. For you to synthesize the thyroid hormones, what do you need? Two ingredients. Ingredient number one, iodine. Where do we get iodine from? Seafood, the fish, the pwezas, octopus, the crabs, the oysters, and the sea salt. We are getting them from there. We are getting it even from eggs, okay? And the red meat, iodine, very important, even iodized salt. Ingredient number two, we need amino acid. Remember, the thyroid hormones are amino acid hormones. Hey, amino acid hormones. Now, ladies and gentlemen, where do we get amino acids from? So yes, amino acids are coming from breakdown of protein. Now, remember this, the essential amino acids come from animal-based protein. This is for those people who say, oh, no, I'm a vegetarian. Plant-based proteins do not have the 9 essential amino acids. So go and eat meat. So from your red meat, fatty meats for that matter, you will end up getting phenylalanine. Hello? Phenylalanine. Health and wellness, but yes, thank you. Yeah, good. So phenylalanine is coming from red meat. Nyama. And you're avoiding meat because you have the thyroid, and meat is dangerous, right? So when you get phenylalanine from these meats or these animal-based proteins, phenylalanine will be converted to another amino acid that is called tyrosine. Do you remember me mentioning about these same amino acids in depression? Now you see, these are the same amino acids that are helping you to make thyroid hormones. And when you make thyroid hormones, do you remember again, today I've just told you that the side effects or the symptom of hypothyroidism is actually depression. Did you realize that? And I told you depression is a gut problem and the thyroid problem is a gut problem. Now are you seeing the connection? So when you tell me you're depressed, I start thinking, you're not depressed. You've been made to think you're depressed. What you have is a messed up gut. Go fix it. When you fix the gut, you fix the thyroid, depression disappears. Do you need an antidepressant for that? That will end up getting you suicidal thoughts and you get into more depression. Anyway, that aside, let's continue. So we have phenylalanine. This phenylalanine will be converted to tyrosine. And then the tyrosine is the one that will be converted to form the thyroid hormones. But for you to form the thyroid hormones, you now have to combine that tyrosine with iodine. Hello? Do you see where salt is important? So now you convert phenylalanine or the protein into tyrosine, and then the tyrosine is added or combined with iodine to give you the T3s and the T4s. So therefore, two things are very important here: a high protein diet and iodine. But for you to get the protein for you to actually break down the protein to release the amino acids, what else do you need? A fixed gut. You cannot digest red meat or the meats without a strong and a concentrated stomach acid. You cannot tear those bigger molecules of protein into smaller molecules that will be cut off by the pancreatic proteases to give you amino acids if you have a messed up stomach environment. That tells you, as you continue using that antacid, whether the tablets or the gel, as you continue using those PPIs, the proton pump inhibitors, esomeprazoles and omeprazoles and pantoprazole, as you continue drinking alcohol, as you continue using NSAIDs, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, diclofenac, ibuprofen, aceclofenac, meloxicam, as you continue using drugs that mess up the gut, that neutralize the pH of the stomach, you will be unable to break down protein. You will end up having problems with the thyroid. Now look at people who are suffering from these problems. They have wheat in their diets, they have seed oils, they have sugar, they have alcohol, they have cigarette smoking, they are on antacids because of the alcohol and the bad diets that they're eating, and therefore the stomach environment is so messed up they cannot digest protein to release phenylalanine that will be used to form tyrosine, that will be used to form T3s and T4s. So when you have your gut fixed, when you have high protein diet, animal protein, when you have low intake of medication, when you are not taking alcohol and cigarette smoking, you start fixing your gut. When you fix your gut, you now break down protein in adequate amounts. You produce T3s and T4s because you now get the amino acids that are essential for making this. When you're consuming that salt, you are tapping in iodine. That iodine is very important in production and synthesis of the thyroid hormones. Now listen, when you see the thyroid gland enlarging, two things are involved. What we call goiter, right? Two things are involved. One, you are producing excess thyroid stimulating hormone. Let's go back to our image. You remember the gland that tells the thyroid gland that stimulates it, the hormone that comes from the general manager, which is the pituitary, to stimulate the thyroid hormone gland. Sorry, do you remember that hormone? And there's a reason why I'm asking that question, because we have to get it right. When you get it right, it's easier for you to handle these conditions. So there's that hormone that comes from the pituitary to instruct the thyroid gland to produce thyroid hormones. What is that hormone? TSH. Good. Thyroid stimulating hormone. Yes. So the pituitary gland produces the thyroid stimulating hormone that actually tells the thyroid, now be active and produce more of these hormones. Now understand this. If you have excessive production of that TSH, you will have an enlarged thyroid, because the function of that TSH, one, is to tell the thyroid gland to produce the hormones, and number two is to enlarge the thyroid. So those of you who have that enlarged thyroid, your TSH is either high because of either a tumor or a problem in the pituitary. Simply understand that when you have a problem in the pituitary that is causing hyperproduction of the TSH actually opens up the thyroid gland and enlarges it. You end up having thyroid problems. An enlarged thyroid, we call it goiter. Number two, when you're eating food that is deficient in iodine, this gland has to compensate so that it can tap even the slightest amount of iodine from your diet. That's how it starts to enlarge. That enlargement tells you you're actually consuming foods that are useless. They don't have even iodine. They don't have selenium. They don't have protein diet. So therefore, this gland enlarges to at least trap any slightest amount of iodine that is coming in through the foods that you're eating. Now, if that is what is happening here, so tell me how removing this gland is going to change your diets. Tell me how just getting rid of we call it thyroidectomy. Tell me, those of you who have removed it, tell me how removing that gland is going to fix TSH, is going also to fix what you're eating that is deficient in iodine. Now, when you start asking these types of questions, the system gets so upset. Instead of just somebody explaining to you, why am I doing this? They become so upset because they knew very well that they are going to get their allowance from that surgery. And they are going to raise their stakes because they did a successful surgery. Successful surgery. When you've just removed a gland that is non-problematic, that's actually trying to compensate, when you have not fixed the cause of the enlarging thyroid. So now I become your slave, because now you will have to write a prescription to me that has synthetic hormones. Are we reasoning together? Are we, or am I overthinking? So now you remove that gland. Well done. No problem. It was a successful surgery. You remove it. Have you fixed the overreacting pituitary that is producing excess TSH? Have you fixed the fact that I'm eating foods that are messing up my gut, therefore I cannot convert T4s to T3s? Have you removed the antacids? And now I have low thyroid. I have low hormones. And guess what? I start adding weight. Now guess what you're going to give me? Ozempic? Huh? Now you're going to enroll me in weight loss programs that still tell me to eat the fruits. Weight loss coaches. And this is a topic that most people run away from because they know how difficult and complicated it is. Anyway, having understood that you need iodine and you need meats in plenty, let's talk about foods that are very essential in the thyroid, right? Because that will make sense to us. That will make sense to us. A lot of women are struggling with infertility, even men. And we'll talk about low sperm count very soon. So a lot of women are struggling with infertility. They're struggling with estrogen dominance, the fibroids, the PCOS, the endometriosis, and all that. A lot of people are struggling with even breathing, low oxygen levels in their system. So their cells are actually dying because of low oxygen concentration. A lot of people are struggling with children who have very low IQ. And they're even thinking that this is a curse. A lot of people are struggling with so much high or low temperatures every time. They feel so many, the cold feet at night. Most people are struggling with postmenopausal syndrome, the PMS. They have normalized hot flashes. Most people are struggling with spermatogenesis and the development of the ovum. Most people are struggling with gastric motility. They have constipation, they have IBS, they have hemorrhoids. Actually be resolved if we resolve our thyroid. Most people are struggling with depression and anxiety and palpitations, very irregular heartbeats and heart rates. But nobody's addressing the thyroid issues. Everybody's focusing on the symptoms. When you have palpitations, I give you propranolol. When you have anxiety, I give you the same drug. When you are obese, I give you a medication for obesity. It's just weird. When you have constipation, I give you lactulose. There's a medication, there's a pill for every ill. This is so annoying in the healthcare systems. Where did we go wrong that every consultation has to end in a prescription? What changed that every consultation has to end in a prescription? What changed that every time somebody comes into my physical consultations, they are very interesting. We try as much as possible to change their thinking, and they are so stuck in their old thinking that, hey, Daktari, will I die? Are this really going to change my life? And then they ask you at the end of the consultation, so you're not going to write any drugs for me? I'm like, no, you don't understand what I preach, do you? How many people are going for surgeries and then end up dying from botched surgeries, the complication of surgeries? How many people go for a surgery for the thyroid and they're told the complication of this surgery is you might end up losing your voice? I am talking from a center of experience because my mother went through this surgery some times back. So I'm talking through a center of experience, and I'm also talking through a center of ignorance. Because when she was doing that surgery, I was still a doctor. I was still the doctor that I am right now. But the change that I decided to take, the line that I decided to take is just amazing. It's just amazing. So there's one condition after another. People are so conditioned and brainwashed to think that what they can eat whatever they want to eat, and then medication will come in to change their eating and their bad eating habits. That's why they tell you tell them about eating healthy, and then the last result they tell you is, so when I get better, can I go back to eating this? I'm like, well, what is wrong with you? And sometimes you have just to maintain your cool, but deep within you're burning, you're like, wait. So yes, healthy eating and preventing medicine or alternative healthcare, it's not an easy thing. It might sound as easy as I tell you just drop wheat, seed oils, and inflammatory foods, and you think, oh, this can happen in a snap. And that's why when you start practicing these things, you want benefits instantly. You start asking me the following day, now, Doctor, today I did not take morning breakfast. Why am I still feeling this? I'm like, hey, this is day 2 or day 1? Day 1. I'm like, now they want me to take them back to medication. I'm like, we were trying to help you get rid of the medication. But now you want us to go back on medication. Are you serious? So your parents are so brainwashed and conditioned to think, and they cannot even listen to you. When you tell them this, they tell you, huyu ni daktari wa wapi? Are you even a doctor? You're my daughter, you're my son, I know you very well. Now that you've been employed, you have some money, some chums here, you want to deny us eating chapati because You think we will ask you for money? Then your mother goes out and pulls out that emotional move. Kama utaki kututumia pesa, si ni sawa tu, eh? Tulikusomesha ukuwe independent. And they're like, hey. Now I have to sit back and explain to my mother, hey, I'm not denying you chapati. I'm just telling you chapati is not healthy for you. Tumekusomesha, umepata pesa, sasa unataka kutuonyesha, wewe enda ukae town na wewe kijana mko naye huko. Mkule hiyo pesa mmalize. Mothers though, hey, mothers. Yeah. You've been doing these things over and over. You've been taking that levothyroxine over and over again. Nothing is happening. It's getting even worse.